Good evening and welcome. This evening I'm going to be playing a song for you from a Walt Disney movie, and the song is called When You Wish Upon a Star. It's from the movie Pinocchio. That was my favorite Walt Disney film. And it was written by composers Lee Harline and Ned Washington. I'm going to be playing it for you, piano style and various techniques, which I'll talk about later. It's in the key of C major, and there's a score available for you to download for free on my website. So here we go now with When You Wish Upon a Star. I'm going to be talking about some of the techniques that I used in this song, and a lot of these techniques have been explored in past videos that I've done, such as the drop 2 technique, the locked hands technique, the spread voicings. They're all in here, and the arpeggios. I'm incorporating all of these in this arrangement, so you might want to check some of my past videos to get into more detail about this, but I want to talk about some of the central things that I did. First of all, I had a diminished, and this particular diminished, I'm going to call it a D diminished chord. And you might want to know why I picked that one. For me, that particular diminished chord sets up the dominant chord of the song, which is a G7, or a G7 with a raised third. The fourth there, I call it a G11 or a G suspended fourth. That particular chord sets it up. So I'm doing these descending arpeggio runs like that to end up here on this G sus chord, and then a little lead in here to the melody. Now this is a C6-9, but it's a basic spread voicing where you're spreading all the harmonies out over 3 octaves, or 2 octaves actually, 2.5. And then I have these chords which now are drop 2 voicings, like that. And here I have a locked hands, because I'm doubling the melody, but an octave below it actually. Then to a double diminished chord. Now what that means is there's 2 diminished chords stacked. Rather than it just being this, I'm putting that diminished chord in, which you could call an E flat diminished against an E diminished. It creates kind of an interesting rub, but I like the sound of it. Now you have fourth voicings there. Now you have spread voicings. Now here's another double diminished. It really kind of has a rub to it, but it's an interesting one. Another diminished. This is a drop 2 again. Now that just means that I'm taking the second note in the chord in the right hand, I'm putting it down an octave. And it creates a really pretty sounding chord, I think. So those are both drop 2. Now this here is a sort of a stacked chord, meaning I have like a D minor against an E minor. So like an E minor on the top, but the melody note is an A. Spread voicing, and now I'm using some type of what you would call tritone substitutes, and rather I'm on the 3 chord 6 2 5, but now I'm using E flat to A flat, and then I'm using a D flat chord there. So that takes us through the first A section, and then there's a repeat of that, and I elaborate on it a little bit. We'll go into the bridge from here. Moving into the bridge, I might have used an approach chord of an A7 flat 9. Now I go to D minor 7 here. Now I'm using locked hands position here for this. So I'm doubling the melody here, taking it down an octave, and I'm playing it in the left hand. So you get a very nice sound that way. But then I'm putting in diminished chords in between each chord. So like D minor 7, now that's a diminished chord, okay? And then I go to, actually that's an interesting chord. It has 2 suspensions in it, the 4th and the 6th, and it resolves down like that. Now I'm using these are drop 2 voicings here. Didn't get that quite right, but there it is there. Now what that means is I'm taking the second note in the chord. If I voiced it like this in the right hand, I'm taking that second note out of the right hand and putting it in the left hand. So you get an interesting harmonic relationship there. Now that works perfectly with this ascending line and with these diminished chords. Like when you have ascending lines or descending lines, that drop 2 works really well because it wants to go to a diminished chord. So it wants to like go in a stepwise motion through diminished chord type of progressions. Then it resolves to the C there, now down to A minor. Now from here I'm doing another locked hand position voicing. You can hear how the melody really comes out because it's being doubled in octaves. And there's a lot of, well, clusters within it, clusters of notes. I go to this 2 chord, but I make it a half diminished, which means it's a minor 7 flat 5. And then I play an arpeggio building from that 9, 3, flat 5, 7. And then I just extend that all the way up. And then I go to the 5 chord. And now I'm going to modulate. Now to modulate up a half step, I'm going to take the 5 and bring it up a half step like that. Now I have an A flat dominant chord, and I'm moving to D flat major for the last segment of this song. The last section of the song I'm just basically using as big a chord as I can play. So I'm like expanding by playing arpeggios in the left hand like this. And I tend to create, you can get a lot of sound by just arpeggiating all the notes. But I'm trying to, know what that melody is. You want to hear the melody and bring it out. Even though there's a lot going on here, you really want to hear that melody sing like that. So I'm in big chords and arpeggios in the left hand. That 5 chord in a suspended, and then arpeggios, and then Now that's an altered 5 chord. It has, what does it have in it? It has a 13, right? And then that note there is a flat 9, okay? Those rich sounding chords are the result of upper extensions, like flat 9s, 13s, and so on. And then I go up a half step. It's a deceptive resolution, you'd call it. It doesn't move to the 1, it moves to a half step above the tonic, and then down to the D major 7, then resolving on the D. And then what I put in was a whole tone scale, which has that dreamy effect that I want to get. And that's it. As I said earlier, this was a request by a subscriber that I play this song. So I tried to put all the techniques in that I have talked about in previous videos and incorporate them into this arrangement. But you can look at it and you can download it from my website for free. So please do that. Let me know if you enjoyed this. I really appreciate comments and thumbs up. That keeps me going. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time around. Take care. Bye-bye.